a first podcast with Vantage Circle. And so today we are welcoming our first guest. This is Partha Neog. He is a founder and CEO at Vantage Circle. And this company has developed a very exciting and interesting framework called AIRe. And Partha, I would like to ask you like a few questions today. And first of all, I would like to ask you about Vantage Circle and what your company does for employee engagement today.
Thanks, Marina. Thanks for having me on the podcast today. So we started Vantage Circle about 11 years back, and we are in the space of employee engagement. While employee engagement is a very wide area, we provide the technology solutions and a platform for three components of employee engagement. One is the employee rewards and recognition, where employees get recognized for different work they have done. They get awarded for different jobs they do, kind of thing. The second module which we have is the employee wellness, because we feel that employee wellness plays a very, very important part in the employee engagement, in the whole employee engagement sphere. So it's again an app-based solution where HR can do fun wellness activities like step tracking, food tracking, all those kinds of things there. And the third component is a very important component. It's the pulse. How do you measure the pulse of the company? And it's becoming more and more important now that people are remotely working, and in the future also it's going to be a very hybrid kind of working. How do you get a pulse of the company? What's happening in the company? How's the mood in the company? Which earlier we used to do, let's say, just walking around the floor or in our water cooler discussions in our cafeteria. But now, how do you get a pulse of this company? So we have a tool called the Vantage Pulse. So these three are the main modules in terms of the product. We are headquartered in India, but our solutions are global and across the world can be used, and some pretty large organizations use our product.
I see. So, and I know that you've founded the company in 2011 with your friend, right? So, what was the key idea behind it?
So we didn't start off with these products. Okay, we started about 11 years back, and we didn't start with these products. We started with something very different in the employee engagement, but something very different called employee deals and discounts. Mm-hmm. Well, we thought that that's a great space. We should get into that, and we got into that. But the business really didn't take off at that time. So, but the good thing was we were talking to HR. We were talking to very large organizations. We were talking to the HR, the employee engagement teams there, and we realized that there's a need and a gap in the market for those kind of solutions. And then we slowly, one by one, introduced. One very interesting part of our story is that we are based. I am in New Delhi, the capital of India, but the entire team is based out of Guwahati, Assam. It's a very small town. Not many tech companies are there, but we took this unconventional step, but which has helped us overall in our journey. In managing our cost, in getting the right kind of people. So that's a short history of our company.
Thank you so much. So I guess we are ready to proceed to our podcast, and I will ask you questions about AIRe Framework and the rest. So actually, this will be our main topic today, because I know that you have recently developed this, like how it's spelled correctly, AIRe or AIRe?
We call the AIRe Framework. AIRe is a very catchy phrase, so it's people can understand that. So we want to get that buzz around. But yeah, it contains four parts: A, I, R, and the E there. And there's a reason. Well, I'll explain why the E is a superscript there.
What's the main idea behind it?
Yeah. So I'll go through this thing there now. Why we started off with something like this? Okay, we felt that everyone's talking about employee engagement now. Okay, yeah. Particularly again in this last 1.5 years, everyone's talking like, how do I engage employees? How do I engage employees? And we felt that one of the strongest levers is employee recognition. If you can really do a good job of employee recognition, that can increase the employee engagement by a huge margin there. Of course, just by giving recognition, and if you don't take care of the hygiene factors, for example, like the salary, the safety, those kind of things, or career growth and all, if it's not that, this will not work. Okay, but I'm saying, assuming that that is taken care of, because most companies know how to take care of that, and there might be some gaps in implementation, but they know. But recognition is something which everyone finally works for. Now, why is anyone working for any job? It's the recognition there. Okay. Now, how were companies doing it? It is not like the companies were not doing recognition. They have been doing recognition forever and ever. Okay. But it's in a very informal way. It's not some written rules or frameworks which are there, but just going about that, which might have been okay to a certain extent, before this digital age. But now when suddenly we have to use some digital tools for recognizing, how do we go about it, And we didn't find any frameworks for companies to work on this thing. Some companies are very advanced. I'm not talking about that 5% of the companies who already have a very well set, established practice and policies around recognition and frameworks. But most companies, we found that didn't have a framework. The biggest question was, we like your product. I think it's interesting. It's going to be working for us. But how do I go about it? Okay, how do I start there? You also have to link it to that specialization and expertise in this area. Comp and benefits. There are lots of expert people have understood over the many decades of this space. But recognition, there's not expertise out there where an HR person has said, "Oh, I am recognition certified," or something like that. So that's not there. So we felt a need which was there. How can you give a framework which is easy for companies to understand and implement? So that's where we came up with this concept of AIRe framework. Now, the 4 components which are there in the AIRe framework: appreciation, incentivization, reinforcement, and an emotional connect. Now, what are these things? Okay, appreciation is, we are saying, it acknowledges, so your program should acknowledge a person's inherent value. It should not be linked with some performance or some goal kind of thing. It's just that the person is there. So you wish them on their birthday, you wish them on the anniversaries. It's just the person is there. Appreciate that person. So that should be one component of your framework when you design that. The second is offer some value. Your framework should offer some value to incite certain actions, and there should be a very visible, clear understanding of how to achieve that value. Okay. So there should be value. I will quickly also talk about it in the next couple of slides on that. So your framework should offer a value. Third is, it should guide employees towards certain desired behaviors, which will have organizational impact. For example, your company might say that, discipline is a very important criteria. So how do you guide employees towards that kind of behavior? So your recognition framework should try to get those behaviors out of people. And the last is the emotional connect, which we say. It should have strong feelings with the whole art of recognition. And we say it's a multiplier, that's why we put a superscript. All these things which you do, you appreciate, you give incentivize, you do reinforcement. But the biggest impact of that is if you can really create the excitement among your employees. That is the emotional connect which we talked about. And broadly, I mean, we have put up lots of white papers on this space. People can go to a site and read that. But again, I'll just take 2 minutes on this. Appreciation, what I talked about, it should coverage and frequency are 2 factors. How many people are covered under your program, how frequently you give your appreciations. Those are 2 factors which takes care of the appreciation. How much value in incentivization, how much value and how much clarity is there in achieving this value. Okay, that should be very clear there. Reinforcement, what are the specific behaviors which you want to drive? That should be very clear. Okay, there. You should not have like 20 behaviors, maybe 3-5 behaviors. It's specific behaviors which you want to reinforce. And How is the platform? Your platform should be designed to align those behaviors with whatever the company values are. And the last, as I said, the emotional connect, how much personalized. If I just send an automated mail saying that Mariana, something like, you got the spot award of the month, some automated mail goes away. It's no personalized, not personalized. You should personalize that kind of thing. How do you deliver that? If you can have someone senior, you bring in 5 people of your team together for 10 minutes and just give out this award or the recognition in front of everyone, there's a different impact of that. So these are the 4 components, and as I said, like there's a lot of details in our on our website, on the presentations, the white papers are there, and a couple of other videos where people can dig deeper into this.
Yeah, thank you so much for this explanation. And so what I can see, and I think like our audience can see, that you basically came up with the framework first, and then you decided like to build some software with modules that will fulfill each purpose, right? And my question is, how does this framework fit into this remote lifestyle?
So I think this is becoming more and more important now that people are working remotely. And I personally believe that this, of course, the full remote working might not be there. People might come back, but there will still be a very, very hybrid kind of a work environment. And secondly, companies have also realized that this might be the best way. Many of the work doesn't need to be in office kind of thing. Office is more like what you do rather than where you do it from there. So digital tools in recognition, as I said, recognition is very important. Now, how do we do recognition? You have to use digital tools. Fine, you put up these digital tools there, and it's not just us. There are other, tons of other products out there in the market which will which will help you do this recognition thing. But the tools are just a way to achieve a goal. Okay, ultimately it's not like something automated and things are working there. Okay, there has to be some kind of design planning, some kind of measurement of this, how it's going, and then tweaking it accordingly. So our platform allows you to first put your policy and framework into a digital framework or a digital tool. Second, it allows us to measure, okay, how it's happening. And then the whole business in how we run this, we feel a lot of services are required on top of this, because you'll need a constant tweaking. It is not one size fits all. I mean, I have given a framework, but how you want to do it is up to you in terms of what are the important factors there. How much do you want to cover? For example, we said coverage. Okay, some companies might say, hey, I just want to cover my this top 30 employees. That's fine. I mean, that's your design. But once you design that, how do you measure that? Okay, so our tool helps in this entire life cycle, designing it, executing it, measuring it, and then making accordingly the changes to that.
So do you like onboard your clients to just to get them familiar with your concept? Because I think like HR managers, they are like aware with these concepts, but do you do some like homework to help them onboard to that framework?
Right, right. And it's interesting. I'll come to your question, but I'll tell you what is that. So we have been working on this framework for quite some time, and of course, but only about July of this year that we formally published it, kind of thing. And we see a lot of reaction. People are coming to us and saying, "Hey, we don't need any tools or something, but we want your framework. Okay, we want you to provide us consultancy on how to design that. We don't need your tools. Okay." Of course, that's not something which we are trying for, but fine. I mean, I see the need, and this will also evolve over time. We'll have some benchmarks and all those things which are there. So yes, people do need that kind of consultancy on this, and they come to us for that. That hey, we want to understand this framework. The initial understanding of this framework is a more generic thing. A couple of hours, you should be able to do that. Understand the entire thing. But then we also do sometimes one-to-one exercises, one-to-one kind of workshops, where we actually help people to design their own programs for their own companies, kind of thing. It's more like a learning exercise. It's not very specific to that company there, but I think we're seeing a demand for that. Most likely, we will also have to provide that kind of consulting services as we go on.
I see. Another question is about the future of employee recognition programs. So recently we have seen the shift to remote lifestyle and like some shift in values that employees they appreciate this flexibility. And what do you think is the future of employee recognition? How it will change?
See, I think digital is a given thing. Okay, people have to shift to digital. Okay, there is no other way, and they have to realize. It's not they have to realize; they are already realizing it. Simple things like company culture. Everyone talks about company culture. Now, if the person itself is remote, how do you get that culture out there? For example, one of the biggest, I mean, we have seen in the last couple of months is that people are appreciated for being responsive. Okay. Now in remote, you can't find out if Marina is working busy, maybe kids are there, maybe the family is there, she's busy with that kind of thing. In the office, I used to see you, okay, and I see you and I say, hey, can I get this report? Can I get this thing? Okay, what's the answer to this? But now that you're remote, your responsiveness is an important cultural value, maybe for some companies, that you should respond fast to that. So those can be driven by this. Once you see that 60% of your colleagues are being appreciated for responsiveness and you are not, okay, then you know that okay, I should be more responsive, kind of thing there. So one is that I see the whole digital has to happen. People have no other option. Companies have no options to do this thing, and it also will make it more efficient. Now the whole direction in what is moving digital is, as I said, as given. I think companies will start asking for more and more uh, fundamental questions. Okay, like how is this recognition helping me in my retention? How is it helping me in my performance management? Okay, how is this recognition correlated with the employee's performance appraisal? You know, uh, suddenly, like if we give you some data and saying that Marina has been appreciated for being a great leader, a lot of people have appreciated her for being a great leader. And when your boss actually appraised you and they said like leadership skills were 1 or 2, something like that. So there's a mismatch. So was it some bias there? Okay. So I think these tools will become more and more metric driven, answering some fundamental questions. Also, I think another important thing today when we talk about, particularly in the US market, what we have seen, or the Indian market also, when we talk about recognition or rewards and recognition, people say service awards, service awards. Okay, I think it has to be decoupled. Service awards is an important recognition component, but it is not the be all kind of thing there. It is one important component of the recognition, but not the main component, which I think today most of it is in the service award. So we see that moving, kind of, and people of course will be measuring it, and once the tools are available, the measuring it will keep on happening.
My question is also about your role of Vantage Circle. So how do you think Vantage Circle can help companies adopt that new AIRe framework for employee recognition?
See, we feel that we will never be able to reach every company. Okay, so it's not like every company will come to us. So we have published all these white papers, the frameworks out there. Anyone can use it, see it, and think about it. I'm not saying that ours is the best framework out there or ours is the only framework out there. There might be other frameworks which are there, but let people have a base, then modify it as per their needs. So first thing which we are saying is we're trying to educate out there. These are the kind of framework we're publishing everything. There are lots of as we go along, we'll be publishing a lot of case studies, a lot of interviews of how people are using these tools are there. The secondly, our tool itself is there, okay, which helps companies to implement. It's a very, low touch tool. People can, once they decide on the policy and the framework, it's very easy to implement this in their company. And we are also building more and more tools there. We are focusing more on, as I said, about the metrics, the output, the fundamental questions of HR. We're building those insights into that. We are building some kinds of nudges. You want to bring in a culture of recognition. Great, you have a framework, you have a tool, but your managers don't do anything with it. Okay, how do you nudge it? Now, if I say, Marina, your team is the least appreciated among the entire company, out of, I mean, I'm not going to say it as an insult. I'm just going to give you as a data saying that, hey, it says that you are in the top or the bottom 10 percentile of recognition culture inside the company. So you get prompted. So the nudges are given to you. So the culture of recognition happens inside your company. And of course, we are also building the measurement capabilities as you keep on doing this. And I think soon we should also be able to connect with other systems of HR, the performance management systems, the attrition tools which you have, so we can give you a more holistic report. So that's the hope, and that's the direction in which we are working. But yeah, let's see. And of course, sorry, and because you're speaking from Europe, we feel that it also has the language capabilities have to come in. Most of these companies, I mean, the larger ones have been global kind of companies. Global when they say, and generally the English is the language of the global communication which is used. But we feel that as more and more of the mid-sized, smaller companies start using these tools, they would need local language facilities, and that tool should work in the local language, because that's the best way to express yourself in a local language, in your mother tongue. So we've built in those kind of tools, as in like the capabilities, which should be able to help in the adoption.
And actually, you started to answer my next question, because I was also wondering, what are your next plans?
No, so I think as I said, the AIRe framework is out there. It's not just about the AIRe framework; it's whole recognition. How do we take it off? So we have been there in India for, as I said, almost 11 years. In the US for about 2.5 years now. We see that even the rest of the world, where sometimes focus is not there because of bandwidth issues, we feel that we can really automate things, and it is a tool which can be used everywhere. And we're focusing also in Europe. I'm expecting by end of this year, where we launch. I mean, our tool can be used anywhere, but we're still launching physically there with the team and everyone in Europe. So that's the plan now. I mean, let's see where it goes.
I hope it will be successful, and you will spread the word about this AIRe framework in Europe and even more. From judging from your speech, I'm very excited about this framework, and I think it's very useful. And even apart from softwares that you are building, it's a very interesting framework and a guideline for HR managers, just to devise your employee recognition strategy based on that framework. I think it's very.
We surely hope so, and definitely we welcome all kinds of feedback. As I said, this is version 1, and more it'll keep on improving.
Yeah, thank you so much. So it was a very nice talk, and I think our guests, they found it interesting.
Thanks for having me on the call today.